Radio Lawrence. Hey, you found it. This is the Radio Lawrence podcast where we discuss local art, politics, and community. Thanks for joining us as we host conversations with the people that make up the fabric of our town. I am your host, Shane Powers. In studio with us today is co-owner of Drone Lawrence, Seth Sanchez. Seth, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Super excited to be here.
Excited to have you here. I want to start with your personal history in Lawrence before we get into any drone-specific discussions. Are you from Lawrence?
I'm not. So I grew up in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I spent the first 18 years of my life there, and then I graduated from high school and was looking for a college to go to. And I talked to my college advisor, and I said, I really want to go to this school, University of Texas at Austin. And they said, well, that's awesome that you want to go there, but you're not going to get in. So let's find you a different school. And I said, so we ran down the list of things that I was looking for, like a big college town, a lot of interest in sports, et cetera. And they said, well, we send like 1 or 2 kids a year up to Lawrence, Kansas, and they never come back. And I said, well, I'll go check it out.
They never come back.
They never come back.
That sounds kind of intimidating, actually. I don't know if I want to go there.
And then, so I got here, it was like February, and I'm a kid from the desert, and I'm wearing a hoodie because I don't even have a jacket. And our walking tour got rescheduled to a bus tour, and we drove by Allen Fieldhouse, and I saw like 1,000 kids standing outside in -degree temperature waiting to get in. And I just like looked at my mom and I was like, this is definitely where I want to be. So
right on.
That was the start of my journey. And then I moved to Oliver Hall in August of 2026. And I've been here ever since.
Wow. August of 2006.
2006. Geez, sorry. We're in 2026.
We'll edit that out. It'll be all right. I was like, you didn't move to Oliver Hall in 3 months from now.
It didn't exist.
Oh, man, what a tragedy. Every time I drive by there, I'm like, wow, how bizarre to not see that building there.
But Oliver's gone, yeah.
So what year did you establish Drone Lawrence?
So actually, I have a business partner. His name is Nathan Mize, and he is the one who founded Drone Lawrence. So he founded it in April of 2018. So he was a college student. I think he was a senior at the time in the journalism school. And as he tells it, he was just procrastinating studying in the library and fired up a new Instagram account at Drone Lawrence and just started flying his drone around town, taking videos of all the things that we probably still take videos of, honestly, photos and videos. And then I was living at an apartment complex downtown, and they had like a communal coffee machine in the lobby. So I was down there one morning, and on the TV screen, there's this drone video that probably was better than I had expected for the quality of the apartment that I was living in. And I looked up, and there was like a little watermark in the corner that said at Drone Lawrence. And so I still am in the marketing department for Free State Brewery. So I reached out from the Free State account and said, we'd love to have you come to the production facility and make a little drone video for us.
I've seen that video. It's rad. I love that video.
Yeah. It's the part of the origin story of Drone Lawrence, definitely. And so Nathan showed up. He was, like I said, a college kid. So he showed up, with a folder in hand, and I think was pretty nervous for the meeting. And we ended up shooting the video together. And after it concluded, I said, hey, I have some interest in flying drones. I've done it before. I've been around town for a while. This was, 2018 at this point. And, if you ever need any help on this business, let me know, on this little side business. And he said, oh my gosh, absolutely. I'd love it. His strong suit isn't reaching out in the community and doing sales. His strong suit is flying drones and editing videos. So we were kind of a match made in heaven on that front, and we've just been running from there.
That's awesome. So he does all of the drone operating and photography, and you are the marketing arm?
That is how it started. Yeah, in 2018, that's definitely how it was. 2019 as well. I got a drone. So I had flown drones previously. I was actually on the cover of a LJ World daily newspaper in 2014 flying a drone, back when it was just me and another buddy. We were in South Park flying, and I believe the photographer's name was Richard Gwynn, and he just pulled off. He was driving down Mass Street. He pulled off and started snapping our photo. So I've been flying since 2014, took a little break, and then met Nathan and got re-engaged. So got comfortable again in 2019, and so now I'm doing a majority of the flying for Drone Lawrence. Nathan is still the editor, so I get home, pop the SD card in, upload it all to the cloud, and then Nathan works his magic.
What year were drones like commercially available to the public? I can't remember the first time that I saw someone flying one, but it seems like 2014 would be pretty early adoption.
Yeah, it was early. I mean, that first one that I had, it was a threat to fall out of the sky at any moment for any reason whatsoever. So there was, The advances in technology have been crazy, but I'd say, yeah, probably 2010, 2011 was when the first one started being available, for commercial use.
Wild. So let's talk about the nerdy parts of, I'm sure that you have a lot of nerding out to be done.
Sure.
Let's talk about specifically what kind of drones you guys are flying, what kind of photography capabilities and videography capabilities they have. Mm-hmm. Tell us about your rig.
So I actually very recently just got a new one. I bought it used from a friend, and it's a DJI, which is like a Chinese company, but is definitely the leader in drones being sold to consumers. So it's a DJI Air S3, I believe it's called, and it has, unbelievable battery capacity. At this point, it's flying like 45 minutes per battery. I can shoot photos, 50 megapixel photos, and it records in 4K. So it's as good of a camera as you could ever hope for flying around. And then, I was talking about those drones in 2014, the tech of it being a threat to fall out of the sky. At this point, the drones, you almost have to try to crash it. It's gotten so good. You have to be doing some really risky stuff to plummet from the sky at this point. So it takes a lot of stress off of the drone operator. Back in the day, you weren't free to just be able to create and fly freely, and now that's certainly the case.
So you've been a drone enthusiast for well over a decade now. Were you also a photographer prior to that, or has photography come as a byproduct of your drone enthusiasm?
Both, yeah. So my main job, like I said, is marketing for Free State Brewery, and I used to tell people this, and it made me sound young and hip and cool, and now it makes me sound ancient. But I actually started the Free State Facebook page all the way back in the day. So I've been taking photos on behalf of Free State for 15, 16 years at this point, just with an iPhone. I had one of the first iPhones, and so that was kind of my credential to operate a social media at that point was, hey, I have a camera in my pocket.
I'm young and hip.
I'm young and hip at that point. So I honed my skills, at least my eye, photographically, taking photos for Free State, for a decade before I was really doing it for drone stuff. The photography has been a really nice byproduct, and Nathan has taught me a lot about editing and composition and things like that. So I feel like I got my 10,000 hours taking pictures of beer, and then now I've expanded a little bit.
And you said Nathan graduated from the, journalism school?
Correct.
And did that include photography training as well? Is he a classically trained photographer?
No,
or just a guy with an eye?
Yeah, neither of us are. He was actually running the social media for the J School, I believe, his senior year. I think that was his big project that he was working on. So we come at it more from a marketing, social media sense. That's probably the common thread for the two of us is social media. And that's how we've built Drone Lawrence, is definitely social media focused.
Let's get into some locations that you have shot, locations you want to shoot. Where do you fly your drone? Where do you want to fly your drone?
I fly my drone around Lawrence often, very often. We're very lucky in the sense that Lawrence, as a smaller town, has a skyline. We have Fraser, we have Campanile, we have, I call it the AT&T Tower downtown. There are a lot of things that are recognizable to a Lawrencian or someone who has spent time in Lawrence as far as the skyline goes. And that's not the case for a lot of smaller communities. A lot of smaller communities, there aren't a ton of things to really photograph that are interesting and unique from an aerial perspective. So I feel like I've flown my drone absolutely everywhere in Lawrence many, many times over. But yeah, Campanile and Fraser, those are the two go-to, and the football stadium, obviously. Where I want to fly my drone, my wife and I are taking a trip up to the Northeast in the fall this year, and leaf peeper season up there. So gotcha. I want to go and get some fall foliage up there. I've flown, Grinter Sunflower Field. That's an iconic place to go and get a unique perspective from a drone. I've gone out western Kansas and flown around bison herd, which is really, really fun. I
saw that video as well.
Yeah, so
it's incredible how fast they can run for such a large animal.
I learned a lot talking to the farmer. He was telling me, you don't want to get caught in a field with, even if you're on horseback. And I said, really? He said, yeah, the bison can run just as fast and they can run for longer than a horse, which absolutely blew me away for a city kid from the desert. I had no frame of reference on that.
They look like they should just stand still all the time. Like, how could you even move? So enormous.
Back to the technical stuff, but on the drone, there's cinematic mode, there's normal mode, and then there's sport mode. And to keep up with those buffalo, I had to flip it into sport mode and just go. Yeah, it was fun. So they were probably running 35, 40 miles an hour.
That's incredible. So you've pretty much shot every place in Lawrence then. I assume you've been out to the lake and...
all sorts of stuff. I actually did a project with a guy who flies helicopters out of the Lawrence airport. He's like their helicopter trainer, and he and I have become buddies just over a shared enthusiasm. And we did a deal last fall where he flew me out in his helicopter, he flew me out to the middle of the Kansas River, and I stood on a sandbar and flew my drone while he was flying his helicopter. And so that was a pretty unique experience.
And you were like following the helicopter?
Yeah, like from a good distance, I was using my zoom and all that. But yeah, we were kind of filming some content for his helicopter stuff. So that was really fun. Yeah.
Is that available somewhere online that people might be able to track it down?
I don't think it is, but I'll post it. Yeah, I'll post it before this goes out.
Cool.
Yeah.
What kind of special permissions do you need? Do you need any to, photograph? Like, I assume that KU probably has a drone policy. You've taken some photos downtown. Have you ever run afoul of anyone that's like, hey, you can't do that here?
So what's unique about the drone world and airspace in general is you don't own the airspace above your house. You don't own, KU doesn't own the airspace above KU. The FAA is the only regulatory body that has control of airspace. Generally, there are exceptions, obviously. But so as far as permission goes, it's just a matter of where you're taking off. I can't come in your front yard and take off from your front yard and then shoot your house. But theoretically, I can take off from the middle of the street and then shoot your house. So there's something called a Part 107 license, which is a FAA license that if you're going to do any drone work for any commercial benefit, you have to get that. And then you have to get clearance for the airspace, which is in Lawrence, so there's different classes of airspace. So you can't fly by the airport. That's just like a hard and fast rule, right? That's a safety issue. Different classes of airspace, and you study for a test and you pass a test to get this Part 107 license. And then you should theoretically be paying attention to the rules and know where you are and know if you're allowed to fly or not. And there are handy apps on your phone where you can apply for the immediate airspace clearance, and often 99% of the time it gets granted immediately.
Gotcha. And so with like private property, as you stated, you can't take off from there. Downtown parks, that's all just kind of fair game because it's public property?
Yeah. I mean, the only time that we've ever gotten called from the FAA was back in 2022. KU had just won their semifinal game on the way to the national championship. And we took a video. And one of the rules that with drones is you're not allowed to fly over people. And so we took a video where the vantage point was clearly like over some people. And so it was Monday of the national championship, and I got a call from a 316 number, and I was like, 316? Who the heck is this? And they were like, hey, this is so-and-so from the FAA. We're just reminding you of a couple rules. We heard there's a big game in town, or a big game tonight, and if KU wins, we just want you to follow the rules. And we said, absolutely, no problem. So we have a print, took a video and a photo that night after KU won the national championship of, I've heard it estimated as 70,000 people coming downtown. And if you notice, the photo is askew. So I'm like definitely over a building, right? I'm not straight on Mass Street. I'm over a building. And that was to comply with what they had reminded us of
it's
that
hard
day.
It's hard to get away with breaking the rules when your business is like mass promoting photography. You're like, look at this picture I took, and they're like, hold on, dude, that's an illegal picture that you just took and promoted.
Yeah, getting a call from the FAA where they say your post is getting a lot of views in our department. It's like, well, that's probably not good. So that was really the only time that we've gotten a little slap on the wrist. But the FAA, super cool to work with and not a problem at all. So
good. That's good to hear. So you mentioned prints, and I thank you publicly for bringing me a print of that photo that you've just described.
Definitely.
Do you guys sell these prints on? You have a website. How are they available, and how can people find them?
Yeah, so it's just dronelawrence.com, little shop tab, and that was not the point of Drone Lawrence when Nathan started it and when I came on. The point was to work with real estate agents, apartment complexes, things around town where an aerial perspective would be helpful, but it was more of a business to business idea. And then during COVID, there wasn't a lot going on, and I was living downtown at that point in Lawrence. And so I just started flying my drone like every day at sunrise and at sunset, just looking for something to do and snapping photos. And one photo in particular of the Campanile with like a really beautiful sunset going on really took off and went viral for us. And people in the comments were like, can I buy this? Can I buy this? Can I buy this? And we said, okay, yeah. So we set up a shop, and I think up until the national championship, that was our number one selling print. So we've had years where we sell a lot of prints and then years where we don't sell a lot of prints, and it just kind of ebbs and flows, but it's easy, set it and forget it. And we order from a shop down in Pittsburgh, Kansas, and they ship it up, and yeah,
they ship it to you. You don't like drop ship those where
no, we just ship it direct. If you were to order something, you put your address in and we just fire it off, and that way we don't have to spend a ton of time packing it and handling it.
Printer sends it along to individual.
Yeah.
You ever consider working with like a local framer to have those available where you can just pick it up here and it's already mounted, framed, and ready to go?
We have. So we've had at this point 3 art shows. So our art is on display at the Phoenix Gallery downtown.
Cool.
And we've had 3 shows up to this point. And yeah, the first one that we did, we worked with the framer, a local guy. His name is Matt McCoy, and he's a fantastic woodworker.
I know Matt McCoy.
Yeah.
He built that storm door on our front door.
So he can do it all. And when I was looking for somebody, I was like, Matt, can you do this? He's like, I'm not really built frames before, but yeah, I can give it a try. And I swear we hung that show, and so many people were like, the frames are amazing. The frames are awesome. And I was like, all right, Matt, you're outshining us on this.
Matt's a very talented carpenter.
He sure is. So we still have a few of those floating around, and I cherish those. I've got them in my house. So yeah, we work with a handful of local people on that.
Frame building is a real skill. If you look over here to your right, there's a framed photo of Tom Petty that was gifted to me from one of our friends who's a photographer, and he took this picture of Tom Petty, and I was like, wow, that's a really cool photo. I should make it into a display piece, and I built that frame that is around it. And it's a lot more difficult than it would come across. You're like, I don't know, 4 corners, 4 pieces of wood shouldn't be that big a deal. But to get those miters really tight, and you need to be a pretty good carpenter. I am not, but I can imagine Matt McCoy builds really beautiful frames.
He does, and it's definitely my, I haven't been an artist up until that point. I had never, I would tell people it was an imposter syndrome moment going to, the Drone Lawrence art opening, because I, as a kid, couldn't even color in the lines, and so to go and see our name on the wall. But yeah, it was a very gratifying moment to see our, 20 pieces down at the Phoenix Gallery.
There's all shapes and sizes of art, Art is not about coloring in the lines by any standard. So you mentioned your professional services and the B2B aspect of Drone Lawrence. What kind of things do you offer in that realm? And is that still the bread and butter of Drone Lawrence?
Certainly, yeah. The things that pay the bills are the things that we don't really post online. I'd say 95% of the work that we do that is paid never makes it on the Drone Lawrence Instagram account or anything like that. So
but it makes it on other people's Instagram
It sure
accounts.
does, yeah.
You're working with realtors, and who else do you...
I always say that, like, no job too big or too small. We're working with real estate agents. We're working with artists who want a different perspective, and then they go and paint it, that kind of thing. We did a project with Lawrence Paper Company, which is one of the biggest companies and the oldest companies in town, and they have different locations, one down in Hutch and then one in Nebraska. And so we were on the road, flying around their warehouses, making I think it ended up being like a 10 to 15 minute video for them. So that was one of our big clients. Custom home builders, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Go out and meet the family and the home builder for the first ceremonial, shovel in the dirt shot. And then we just go around and fly the house once a month basically and create a little time-lapse video for the family at the end. And yeah, all sorts of stuff. I mean, I was kind of looking through all of our clients today to get ready for this interview, and it's just like, geez, we have worked with as big as it gets, KU football stadium, to an artist, a KU student who's like, hey, can I, paint this shot or something like that. So it's everybody.
So KU has officially enlisted you to be the photographer / videographer of these. I just assumed that you were just taking these because it's such a huge project that, it's a no-brainer to be like, I'm interested in this.
So that's how it started, definitely. It's a once-in-a-100-year project. I think KU football stadium was 100 years old when they finally started to renovate it, quote unquote, which was a full demolition and rebuild.
It's been really, I drove by there the other day and I hadn't in a while. And I was like, oh my God, this is a gigantic stadium,
changed the
not a
landscape.
mile from my house.
So in the drone Lawrence world, I always say, like, we're very lucky. There's been a handful of things that you would call once in a generation projects or moments that have happened that we have been able to capture. And certainly one of those is the KU football stadium. And for the first phase of that was all just us doing it for fun, and to showcase it to people from far and wide who don't live in Lawrence and can't drive up and see the progress. If you graduated and moved back to Chicago or something like that. But
or some of us who live a mile away and just choose to not drive that direction.
But then at one point there was a crossover for the demolition of phase 2. The contractor reached out and we did document it for them, in an official capacity.
Cool.
Yeah.
You also did the photography for Stan Hurd's recent aerial, the Algerian flag.
Yeah.
How did you get plugged in with Stan?
Again, it goes back to COVID era. Stan made like a earthwork that was a flower vase that just, I think it said thank you, and it was just kind of a we're all in this together type of thing. That was the common sentiment in early COVID days, and through a mutual connection, I said, I don't know Stan, but is there any way that I can drive out there and take a photo of his work? And he was extremely gracious with us and said, yeah, absolutely. Here's the coordinates, drop the pin. And it's bizarre, Stan's work, you can't see from the road. You can't really see it when you're standing on it. And then you fly the drone up, 20 feet, 30 feet, and it just appears in front of you. So to run a drone company in a town of 100,000 people and to have the premier earthwork artist in the world also living in that town.
Pretty good guy to have around.
That's one of those lucky breaks that just helps, So the Algerian flag thing has been insane. I mean, we can get people interested in our work who have attended KU, have a touchstone at KU, but Stan's work captured the attention of the globe, and the ability to work with him and to tap in on that has just elevated, we're reaching numbers on our social media posts that I know that we'll never reach again. We've got an entire nation liking our stuff, liking Stan's work.
Two entire nations.
Two entire nations.
It really seems like this Lawrence, Algeria thing has captivated both entire countries.
It certainly has.
Maybe I'm a little too close to it, but it's, there was like a USA Today article and
Good Morning America and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, where it really is all over the place. So yeah, we're really thankful to Stan. He's a fun guy to work with. I know you've had him on the show. He's super interesting character. One of the guys that makes Lawrence. So
love working with Stan.
Yeah.
Love talking to Stan. He's just such a great guy. And I have an immense, no pun intended, an immense respect for his ability to conceptualize these projects. Like like you said, I can't even color it within the lines. I can't draw a small picture of the things that he does.
Yeah.
And to be able to conceptualize it on such a gigantic scale and know how to lay that out and execute upon it. And not only that, but be able to instruct other people.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked on one of his pieces, and from the ground, he's able to give you very clear instructions. This is what needs to happen. It's not complicated. You're going to follow these flags. We were working with mulch when I worked with him, and we had wooden frames. And he was like, lay your frame on the ground, press it in hard. You need the lines to be clean. Don't blur them.
Okay.
He's a hard ass. Don't blur the lines. Keep your frame tight and move fast. Fill it in and set it again and do it again. And we spread this mulch out in little rectangles until it made a gigantic design. And he was such an impressive person to work with and to follow that I will always love Stan Hurd.
It feels silly. I'm a 37-year-old guy, and he's out there, and I think he said he's 75 years old or something like that. And he's out there, moving mulch and mowing the lawn and all this and that. I'm like flying a little camera, and I'm like, this feels a little bit inverted, but we all have our talents, so it all comes together.
So we've been through where you photograph, what kind of equipment that you use, permissions. We talked about your professional services. How would somebody reach out if they were, for instance, a realtor or a builder interested? What is your preferred method of communication for that?
Any which way you want to get in touch with us. Yeah. Instagram, Facebook, even, email Seth at Drone Lawrence. And any way that you want to reach out, we're happy to work together.
That's awesome, man. Well, I really appreciate you coming to talk about that. We've got one more section of the interview here that is known as the lightning round.
All right.
In the lightning round, I'm going to ask you 10 questions that are germane to nothing. You can answer these questions in as few or as many words as you see fit.
Okay.
and no follow-up questions will be asked. Are you ready for the lightning round?
I think so.
Where is your favorite date night dinner?
7:15 here locally, and then my wife and I really like Farina in Kansas City.
What is your favorite annual event in Lawrence?
Whew, man, that is a tough one. Let's see. I might have to say Art in the Park. We've never been a part of Art in the Park, but I love going down to Art in the Park. Also, honorable mention, FidPick. Love FidPick.
We're going to have a little FidPick episode coming up soon, so keep your ears peeled for that one. If seasons never changed, which one would you want to live in?
I think I would go with fall.
Me too.
All right.
Are you superstitious?
Not particularly.
If you could be any animal, what would you be and why?
Man, I guess going on the theme of aerial perspective, maybe like a peregrine falcon, flying 200 miles an hour or whatever they do.
What is one song that you turn off immediately?
I have a 2-year-old, so there's a lot of those songs that are just tough to listen to. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank on what it would be at this point, but yeah, there's a handful.
If you could meet any historic figure, who would it be?
Whew. Let's see. I just finished a big book on Ben Franklin, and that guy lived like 20 different interesting lives in the span of 70 years, so I'd probably go Ben Franklin.
All right. What is one irrational fear that you have?
Irrational fear? I would say being like buried alive, but that feels pretty rational. I don't know.
Seems rational to me. What's the best soup?
The best soup? Oh, man. As a Free State Brewery employee, you're entitled to eat free soup any day that you work. So I've had a lot of Free State soup over the last 20 years, but I got to say the tomato soup that Free State makes, that's top for me.
When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
My dad was a lawyer, so I always said lawyer, and then that kind of morphed into politician, and then I went and interned at the Capitol for a state senator, and I absolutely knew I did not want to be a politician after that.
That was in New Mexico or here in Kansas?
Kansas, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, Seth, that is the interview. We've completed the discussion about Drone Lawrence. We've successfully navigated the lightning round. Is there anything else that you would like to add to this? Anything you'd like to say to the people of Lawrence?
I just want to say thanks for having me. I mean, this from a side hustle Instagram project to a fully fledged business to getting, to sit down and chat with you about it for a while has been really gratifying and fulfilling. So thanks to everybody who has, liked a Free State post over the years or a Drone Lawrence post over the years or has shared it or has sent in a constructive criticism. It's all appreciated. So thank you very much.
Pleasure to have you, Seth. Thanks a lot and have a great day.
You too.